Hi, I'm Les. We're here today to work with our bees. We have 4 hives out back that we started with 1 and now we've got 4, and we're establishing the bees so that next year we can get some significant amount of honey out of them. This year they're doing extremely well, and we're having to give them more room to move into so they can build more brood for new bees and place to put honey and pollen. And so what we have here are 2 boxes that I'm going to take out. These are based on a design made by Reverend Langstroth in the 1800s. He came up with a standardized design that all beekeepers in the US typically use. And so we have 2 boxes here, one a small size and one a large size. And we will go out with our 2 tools that we have as major tools as a beekeeper. We have what's hiding back here, our smoker, and I've already put some fuel in it. Basically, we want to get that burning, and then it'll just sit there and smolder. And then we put some burlap on top. The burlap basically filters the smoke and keeps it cooler. The smoke is useful for working with the bees, because once they smell the smoke, the thinking is that they get a little agitated that their hive is burning down, so they better run back in and gorge their honey stomachs with honey to save everything. So they'll go and do that. So that's what the smoke is good for. On the other hand, we make the bees genetically, you choose queens over time that don't go after you, or is the word in the business is spicy. You don't want spicy bees. So, and the other tool we have is our hive tool, which allows us to open everything up. The bees gather resin and make something called propolis, and they'll seal everything up so that no water will get in. And we have to kind of peel that apart in order to get in to check them and inspect the hives. So the next thing I'm going to do is light off the smoker, and then we'll get that going, and then we'll get in our bee suits and we'll walk out there and have some fun. Started out with an original hive that someone donated. It had been here for years but hadn't been really looked at. But the bees were very successful. They managed to survive from one year to the next without any intervention. The problem is, unless you're in the hive regularly, they tend to get agitated when you go into them. So this set of bees, we split the hive and put in 2 new queens. The new queens are to calm them all down, but it takes about 6 weeks to fully do, 6 to 8 weeks to do a changeover. So all the bees in there have her new genetics. And so at first they were very spicy and they did not like me working in there, and I made them mad. And they came after me, and I was fine, except for they found that they could get down in under my pant legs. So that's how I got stung several times. Okay, so now we're relighting the smoker. I apparently am not an expert at doing this yet. So we use little torches like Okay. All ready to go. Buckets here, these buckets are for water for the bees, and the little landing pads are there so they don't drown. And so usually there's a couple bees on there, but I may move it so that they find it again. I don't understand. Bees need a lot of water. And we're off again. I actually got interested in bees when I was in graduate school in Delaware and looked into them, but it was just too busy. And over the years, it always went to the bottom of the list. But now that I'm retired and the farm needed help maintaining these hives, I got interested. And it's been well worth it. Bees are fascinating, and I've enjoyed it immensely, learning about their biology and just how we manage them and the benefits that they bring to us and everything. Okay, so we're going to walk out here. You see we've got some bees around the entrance right here. You can see they're coming and going. As the day gets hotter, sometimes you'll get a beard of bees around the box, and basically they're acting as what we call air conditioning bees. They're just moving air across to try to keep the temperature and the humidity inside the hive within a very tight range, which is best for the brood to develop. So that's a major part of how they work. So we have our hive tool and our smoker. I'm gonna set this down and go get the part that I'm gonna put on top of here. But first I'll probably pull out a frame and take a look at it. You can zoom in or get close. All right. One of the things is you work bees from behind. Okay, you see they're all getting a little excited. Now if the bees come and bounce off of your veil, that's okay. You don't need to get too excited yet. All right, they haven't glued this one shut, so we pull the top off, and then we have the next part's the inner cover. Okay, so we just pulled off the top cover, which has got metal on it. It's to keep them dry in there. And then we have an inner cover. The idea is the inner cover is they glue this part down with propolis that I was talking about earlier. And so if we didn't have an inner cover, they'd glue the top cover down and it'd be a lot harder to get out. Now you can see some of the bees when we put it together, they got squashed. At first I used to think, oh, I lost some bees, but they're part of an organism. They are not at all individuals. They make up a continual organism, and so they all contribute. So you can see here we've got comb being built in between, which means they're running out of room. This is what over here is known as a frame feeder. When we started these guys, we were putting sugar water in here for them to eat until they got established. So one of the things you do is we want to take a look, make sure everybody's doing okay. They don't necessarily like this. But really, I know they're flying around and it looks ominous, but it's not. And so we're gonna work one of these frames out of here. Okay, I just got a friendly reminder. They'd rather not me pull this out. All right, Rachel. Here's what it looks like. Got a lot of cap brew. We got honey up here. It looks like starting honey or pollen. So they're all happy. They're just a little like, what happened? So we'll stick that back in there. And give them a little smoke. Now we'll take the new one. We'll carefully set it on top. And hopefully next time we come back, they'll have started to build up here. So that's that. Put the inner cover back on top. This is called a deep box. Has 10 frames in there. Let me show you what the frame looks like. Look at that, they're already finding it. So they have a foundation which has got hexagonal things imprinted into the plastic. But then to make them more interested in building honey, building comb, they have to build wax comb on this first. We've already coated it with beeswax. So a little roller assembly on both sides. You can see the color is different. And they'll start to work on that. That's the plan. And this will help them support through the winter. And if we're lucky, we get enough on there, we might be able to pull a frame out of the top for honey in the fall sometime. So then the cover goes back on. Voila! We're done. We've now doubled the size of the hive. All right, we're getting ready to go in the next one. So if you'll notice, these two hives have smaller boxes on top. That's because they were available. These are known as supers. Usually you put these in there for them to develop honey on. But you can also let them develop brood and everything. It's not a problem. I'm going to walk over here. You might want to back up because I'm bringing the bees with me. There we go. I'll get the other box here. And here we go. This is actually a bigger box. The other one that I just put in here is called an 8 frame. 2, 4, 6, 8. This has 10. So it's a little bigger. When this is full of honey, it can weigh anywhere between 60 and 80 pounds. So that's why some people like the 8 frame. I understand there are places like Utah where they make boxes there's only 5 frames across. It's easier to handle. All right, we gave these guys a little smoke. We'll go ahead and pull the lid off. Cover, and then the inner cover. I've got to peel it up because they have glued it down, as we say, with the propolis. There, it popped. I will take that out and set that over here. You can see they're trying to build some comb here. We don't really want them to do that. someone has made an estimate that it takes 8 to 9 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of this comb. So that stuff's pretty expensive for them in resource. So at the end of the year, if you're getting, you just leave them and they continue. They'll clean out each one of those cells and start over. But they're doing that all the time. Estimates are a queen can lay anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000 eggs in a day when she's active. And there's plenty of resources and everybody's happy with it. So I'm going to pull out one of these frames. This one's a plastic frame. Well, I'll show you what this looks like. Yeah, this is much. So they're working on putting, you see the little yellow, that's probably pollen down there. Sorry, guys. Gals. What I'm not seeing is what I would expect to see for brood development. You can see the eggs or the larvae at the bottom of the cells. Okay, guys, I know. Call them guys when they're gals, actually. All of them, except for the drone when it's mating season. She totally controls what sex they come. Oh, that one looks really good. This one's heavy. Okay, we got. Oh. I think we're okay. All right, ladies, we're finished. Here's some new room. A lot of people talk to their bees. Seems appropriate since they do so much for us. All right, now we'll put the inner cover back on. Still covered with bees. They're fascinating. All righty, ladies, you want to get off that end. Don't crawl through now. Then I want to check the next two. See how the top is doing. As I was mentioning earlier, these were our spicy bees. They were, but both of these been requeened. This was the original hive that was out here for years. Okay, looking good. We'll see. Oh, it looks like they're already building comb in my super. Their super, whatever. Let's see what we have here. Oh yeah. Alrighty, guys. Can't really be doing this. I'd prefer you to do it in the other place. I don't know. It's not clear to me if they'll take that and reuse it, or it has to come out of the gland of the bee at a certain developmental point. Oh yeah, this is good. This is what it looked like when we put it in 2 weeks ago. So they're already building comb, which once it gets to a certain point, then she'll come and lay eggs in it, the queen. Or they'll use it for extra storage for honey. So they're making use of it. That's good. And they're not all that excited about me being in here. So these are obviously the bees that are produced by the old queen. The new queen. The old queen's genetics are gone. By this point, they'd be very upset with me. So we have that all back together. All right, I haven't mentioned the reason we got started is here at the ag farm is to have these things called a flow hive. And it all has to do with the extraction of honey. And the flow hives are something that's been really engineered by man to collect the honey in plastic reservoirs, and then you can come out and tap the honey at any time you want. You got to be careful with it, because if you tap too much honey, the hive won't have enough to survive the winter, or their numbers will drop and they won't be able to fend off pests and whatnot. Okay, these guys are really good. I didn't smoke the front, and I just dropped the cover, so that got them excited. See, they're coming, they're investigating up here, but they're not trying to sting me. So that was my bad. Not smoking them first. We'll go ahead and pull one of these inner ones out. If they're not riled up yet, they will be. And here we go. This is also a new one. And obviously these guys are making more progress. Somehow we have a honey leak right here. So you can see that the bees are trying to eat it up, and then they'll reinsert it. I don't think I stuck the tool down there. Could have. That's usually a sign that there's a big gap in here, but I mean, it's amazing what I've got in here already. Alrighty, I just made you mad. Back. Yeah, so now I've got honey out here, which is usually not a good thing, because then that gets bees really excited. So we're going to close this up and let them clean it up. And we will walk off. I am happy. Alrighty. Going out there and seeing what they've done, pulling them out. I mean, it can be a little nerve-wracking, a little when you get started, but just seeing the progress that they've made is amazing. Because when we started these bees, I don't think anybody expected them for this summer to explode like they have. Like we put the 2 boxes on the top of, we thought we were going to have to feed them sugar syrup all the way through the winter for them to build up enough honey. But we actually stopped doing that several weeks ago because they were doing so well, and then that's why we added the 2 new boxes, so that they hopefully will be able to build even more before the winter comes. Yeah. So, and I just remembered I goofed. I should have taken that frame feeder out, put it on the top one, and moved it. I'll have to do that another time. Oh, that'll make them really mad, though. All right, well, closing, I want to say I'm certainly no expert. I only started really doing this in January, and I give a shout out to the 2 people that have helped Lynn Burlball has really been my mentor, and I've appreciated everything he's done. And then there's Justin, who's provided the bees and got us started. So yeah, well, we'll have to do an update next time when there's a lot of honey or we're pulling honey out of it, whatever. So till next time, take care.